రాత్రి జాబిలమ్మ కో అంటే కోటి.
నమస్కారం, పరదేశీ పెద్దమ్మ కథలకు స్వాగతం. ఈ రోజు నేను మెల్ని రివ్యూ చేయబోతున్న సినిమా మనందరికీ చాలా బాగా ఇష్టమైన సినిమా. మెల్ని కూడా చూసి చాలా లైక్ చేసింది ఆ సినిమాని. అయితే ఆ సినిమా గురించి, శ్రీదేవి యాక్టింగ్ గురించి, ఎస్పెషల్లీ రామ్ గోపాల్ వర్మ డైరెక్షన్ గురించి, శ్రీదేవి తన యాక్టింగ్ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ తో చూపించిన ఆ నటన గురించి మెల్ని ఏమనుకుంటుందో తన రివ్యూలో తెలుసుకుందాం. ఇంతకీ సినిమా గురించి చెప్పలేదు కదా, ఇంకేం సినిమా? వెంకటేష్, శ్రీదేవి కలిసి నటించిన ఎవర్ గ్రీన్ క్లాసిక్ మూవీ క్షణక్షణం మూవీ. క్షణక్షణం మూవీ తనకి ఎలా అనిపించింది, తన రివ్యూ ఏంటి మెల్ని చెప్తారు. హాయ్ మెల్ని.
Hey,
నమస్కారం.
this is so namaskaram. This was such a great change up. So the last recording that we did was the 1953 Devi. So very depressing film, you know. And so I said, we need to do something lighter. And this was an absolutely perfect change up. I have never seen an early Venkatesh movie. And I've only seen a few Ram Gopal Varma films. I've seen a couple of his Hindi films. So I think I've seen Rangila and maybe Sarkar 3 or something. So I hadn't seen any of his Telugu work. And it was just really fun. It was just a really fun movie. And I didn't realize when I suggested this movie that we're recording this, it was Sridevi's death anniversary week, and I think it's only fitting that I honored her by watching one of her movies, and it was so delightful to see her on screen again and dancing. It was just wonderful. So I'm a big fan of Sridevi. I mean, who isn't? But now I'm a fan of Venkatesh. The jawline could cut glass. I have seen his, I'm blanking on the title, but I have seen his film where he plays Mahesh Babu's older brother. So he's, you know, I mean, so I have seen him on screen before, but not in his 1991 prime. And I just loved, but I think really it's interesting because this film is more from Sridevi's perspective. We don't see Venkatesh. I didn't look on my watch to see, but he's not the first star that we see in the film. So it opens with a bank robbery, which sets up all of the action. And then, you know, the money is hidden, and, you know, the whole setup is that Sridevi accidentally takes an envelope that has the ticket for the locker at the railway station where the money is being hidden. And so we open with seeing Sridevi for quite a bit before Venkatesh even comes on the scene. But I did adore that I had, you know, just kind of looked at a summary, and I actually pulled it up in the middle because I'm like, because the opening scene of Venkatesh fakes you out. It's a scam that we see him as a cop. Like he's chasing after somebody who's stolen a briefcase, and this whole chase scene and everything. And then I'm like, and then all of a sudden he's counting the money. I'm like, they faked this out. So I thought that was really delightful, like setting it up like, oh, he's a hero, he's a cop, but then actually he's a thief, and he's a rogue. You know, he's a rogue that helps out Sridevi when she's on the run. And you know, she's got both the cops and the robbers after her. She doesn't know what's going on. And I also love this kind of adventure where two people are kind of thrown together, and then they're kind of, they're kind of on a road trip. They're on this, they're stuck together. They're in the middle of the jungle, which provides one of the most delightful song sequences in the film. So I just love, I love that one, where they, you know, just uses the jungle sounds to start the rhythms of the song. But anyway, I just so the whole setup is really fun. That's the kind of thing that I really love, where two characters like that are just thrown together, and then they're on this journey together. You know, they have to spend the night together. Oh my gosh, you know. And all that stuff. So I just thought they had great chemistry together. But Ram Gopal Varma, what I remember about him is he has really interesting cinematography and camera angles. And you see that in this film. This is only his second I think his second Telugu film. He had done Shiva first, and then this film. And so, for instance, at the beginning, when we're spending more time with the villains and establishing what this whole bank robbery plot is, Paresh Rawal plays this really scary, creepy villain. And there's a scene, because the setup of one of the guys has a Photoshop or whatever. There's a whole torture sequence of him trying to figure out where the money's being hidden in a dark room. And so the whole lighting of it is just red light. And then some of the chase sequences, I mean, this is now it's very common because filmmakers use drones in their filming. So we have quite a few overhead shots. But this is 1991, and a lot of the chase sequences through the streets and everything, we cut away to complete overhead shots. And so we kind of see the chaos as the people are chasing through marketplaces and busy streets and so forth. So it really visually, it's just very interesting and different from any other filmmaker. I mean, he has a unique, distinctive style to his filmmaking. And I would call this, well, actually, I read one of the reviewers at the time termed this a comedy thriller. And I think that's a really good term for what it is, because it has a lot of action, scary villains, all of this, intrigue with a robbery and a fight at the end on the top of a moving train and all of that. But Sridevi brings a lot of comedy to the part, because she doesn't know what's going on, and her wide-eyed and scared of jungle animals, and she's just delightful. Like, I just love seeing her,
especially
in kind of
with those spectacles.
Oh, I know she does. Yeah, she brings so much comedy to the part. It reminded me of there was sort of a romantic thriller called Romancing the Stone in the 80s. And that's what it kind of reminded me of. They were stuck in the jungle, and you have this kind of adventurer rogue kind of guy. And then, and they're just stuck in mud, and, she falls in a dirty pond, and, all these kind of funny scenes that happen in the midst of all of the action. And I thought, like, Paresh Rawal, I've seen him lately, he's playing more father, grandfather kind of roles. And I was like, oh, yeah, right, his recent films. But this is him really scary as a villain. I thought, oh, he was really good. It was just fun for me seeing someone that I have seen in such softer roles recently, really, really doing something scary. That was really fun. I didn't know there was obviously a reference to another recent film, because when Venkatesh is kind of telling his story of how he became a thief, and how he came to this life of crime, and Sridevi's like, that sounds like a movie I just saw. So I don't know what they were referencing, but they were obviously referencing some other popular movie that had just come out or something. But that was funny. Yeah, I mean, just the action sequences were really good, especially the whole train sequence when they were having the fight scene at the very end. And the music was delightful. The music was by Kiravani. And yeah, oh, I know. So that song, Jamu Ratari, was great. And I guess it's recently was remade for another film in like 2019. So just, it's an evergreen song that got remade, but also the really sexy sequence song, Amai Mudu Ivande. Yeah. And I don't remember which song it was, but there was one scene with Venkatesh and Sridevi in the boxing ring. I don't remember which song. That was really fun. So, I mean, just the songs were really fun and memorable, and this movie got several Nandi awards for the director, for the editor, for Sridevi, for the screenplay that Ram Gopal Varma, and the editor, and then the Filmfare for Telugu for the music, and also for Sridevi. And I think, she definitely deserved it. It was just such a great movie. And when I was watching it, there's there's somebody from India that's a friend of mine here in my town, and we frequently go to movies together. And I remember her saying that when she was growing up, she had a crush on Venkatesh, and I didn't really get it. And I had to text her in the middle of this. I get it now. She's like, "Oh, I love that movie." She said, "I've seen it so many times."
I need to tell you one thing. We can't definite RGV and Sridevi bonding because he is the great admirer of Sridevi. So while he's making a film with Sridevi, definitely he gives a prominent role to Sridevi, and whatever it may be, so-called star hero, he will be act as a cameo role.
Well, I mean, it was just interesting that it was really all of it was from her. If you think about it, was from her perspective. I mean, most of the movie they're together, but he obviously gets his action scenes and whatever. But our point of view of the movie is through her eyes, and we started with her. And the scary things that happened to her at the beginning. Well, we have comedy at the beginning, but then somebody breaks into her apartment and she accidentally stabs and all of this, and so that's what sets everything off. And so we're really from her perspective, and Venkatesh is playing her savior and he's her hero there to save her, but it's really our point of view is her, which was for me, frankly, very nice for an action film to really be more from the woman's point of view. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Sridevi to me is always the biggest star, but I don't know if Venkatesh was already such a big star at this time, or if this was a film that made him a big star. I don't know, but I mean, obviously he's very
very good at Ram Gopal Varma actually. Yeah, because previously we tried to watch Shiva, but unfortunately we don't have subtitles, so that's the reason we didn't watch it.
Yeah.
But Kshana Kshanam, previously you told about the lighting while he interrogating character Narayana, that completely reddish. While they are in jungle, the completely black light, and the actor's face is very glow. So every minimal things RGV take care about.
Yeah, I mean, I really like it when you can tell a director has just such a distinct style and is unique and a signature look about his films. And I just remember the Hindi films that I've seen of his, they're just so different than anybody else. It's like you can tell, okay, this is an RGB film. It's distinctive. Whose hands you were in for this ride of a film. Anyway, this was just a really fun adventure film. And I'm so glad that we watched something lighter this week, but still honored Sridevi in this month that we're remembering her amazing legacy in Indian cinema. She's just one of those actresses that crossed over all different industries and was famous in all of them. And, it still boggles my mind how some of these actresses and actors can act in so many different languages and be so great in so many different languages. I don't know if she had an accent or anything for a Telugu speaker, if you could tell, but to me, she seemed completely natural. There's some films that you can see that somebody, has very limited dialogue or whatever, and so they're kind of getting by, but not Sridevi. She just seemed completely at home in the Telugu language. And, and obviously I've seen her in many Hindi films as well. There's just was something so special about her, and she just had this sparkle within her, and just her opening scenes, I just was like, again, thinking she had the most enormous, beautiful eyes of any actress. And I was pleased that this film let her show some of her real comedic talents, because films like Mr. India, she didn't often, maybe at least in the films that I've seen, didn't always get to show that extremely talented comedic side of her acting. And so that was what I really enjoyed about this film, especially besides just being able to see her dance and songs that I'd never seen her dance before. I mean, she's one of the best dancers in Indian cinema too. And so, and Venkatesh, he is multi-talented. Of course, like the first time he came on screen, I immediately thought of how, especially like his jaw, like how much he looked like his nephew Rana Dugabati, like to me, he had that look, but I think he has a little bit more of a mischievous sparkle in his eye than his nephew does, Rana just kind of comes off as more serious. So so he has just sort of this twinkle in his eye, and so obviously he was great at the action scenes. He just, I mean, he was a good partner for Sridevi, and his dancing was very good too. So I think he's an all-rounder, and I was glad to see a really good example of early film of his that was so good and so enjoyable. So I can imagine this is a classic that stands up to whatever it is. It's 1991.
Yeah.
30 years later.
And it is the rare thing, the entire story narrated from heroine perspective.
Right, exactly. It's really a unique thing for an action film, especially. So totally enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to seeing more Venkatesh movies. We can hopefully find some more, but this was a very fun something to break up after the seriousness of. I mean, not that I didn't enjoy Devadasu, I did, but it was just nice to break it up with something more light.
Yeah, thank you so much, Melanie. సో ఇది అంటే ఆర్జీవి శ్రీదేవి మీద ఉన్న ప్రత్యేకమైన అభిమానం కావచ్చు, లేదు తను డైరెక్టర్ గా ప్రూవ్ చేసుకున్న తన తొలి రోజుల్లో కావచ్చు, శివ, క్షణ క్షణం ఇలాంటి మంచి క్లాసిక్ సినిమాలతో తనకంటూ ఒక ప్రత్యేకమైన స్థానాన్ని టాలీవుడ్ లోనే కాదు ఇండియన్ ఫిల్మ్ ఇండస్ట్రీలో కూడా క్రియేట్ చేసుకునే ఆర్జీవి ఇలాంటి క్లాసిక్ సినిమాలని తెలుగు ప్రేక్షకులకు అందించారు. మెల్ని కూడా సినిమా చూసి చాలా ఇంప్రెస్ అయింది. తను శ్రీదేవికి సంబంధించి ఇంకా నెక్స్ట్ రాబోయే సినిమాలు, వెంకటేష్ కి సంబంధించి మరిన్ని సినిమాలు కూడా చూసి రివ్యూలు కూడా చెప్తుంది. ఇది ఈ వారం క్షణ క్షణం గురించి రివ్యూ. మరో వారం మరో మంచి సినిమాతో మీ ముందుకు వస్తాం. అంటిల్ దెన్ బాయ్.